the old systems, the old rules, they do not apply anymore. So this is the time to follow what lights you up and not have some of the boundaries, barriers, walls, the limitations that we put on ourselves in the past. But I do want you, it's so important to be connected to your aliveness now.
Welcome to Cosmic RX Radio, a podcast that gives you real-life tools of spiritual empowerment and pure hype. I'm your host and intuitive guide, Madi Murphy. I'll be serving up your weekly energy readings, cosmic boss interviews, and astro inspiration. Are you ready to love yourself more, manifest your dream life, and own your magic? Let's jump in.
All right, my bad Ds. Welcome to just a very little special bonus mini-sode for 8/8 Lionsgate. I wanted to come on and just have some time where we're not specifically talking about the astrology, but more a space and a place to check in with your heart. So the day this comes out, it is Lionsgate. It is 8/8. It's a day that has always been a cosmic portal for me. And just, 8/8, we're going to talk about it. There's a lot of stuff on the internet that I think wasn't true, is true. We don't even know. It's really not an astrologically significant day. Like my astrology teacher, he's not down with 8/8 because he's a little bit more in the analytical, cerebral, super textbook astrologer kind of a path. But someone like myself, who I'm more on that shamanic path, more always in tune with the angel numbers, the signs, the symbols, the synchronicities, the stuff that my Pisces moon lives for. 8/8 is a very powerful day for me. And I love the numerology of the number 8. And I want to talk to you today just a little bit about a reminder, an invitation to lead with your heart, what that really means, what that looks like, to remember why you're here, and to help you embody and manifest some really powerful things for yourself, for the collective, and just a little pep talk for your heart. So just kind of freewheeling today, but I felt called, just wanted to have this time because it's hard, it's rough out there. And I mean, on the political, geopolitical level, personally though, it just feels like people are so wrapped up in their phones or what everyone thinks, or the worry or the collective anxiety. And, we've talked about with Pluto and Aquarius, one of the keys to really embodying and owning this revolutionary energy is also to look to the opposite sign of Leo and to be in the heart space and to remember our shared humanity and to remember what makes you human. And so I want to just talk about some ways that maybe we can go deeper with 8/8 and be in this portal. And we think about the number 8, right? It's like the infinity loop turned upright. And I think about that abundant energy, almost like when you live from the heart and you live your truth and you live in alignment with that. It's not easy, right? It's really fucking vulnerable, actually, whether that means, sharing yourself with the world, with someone else, opening up to love is an incredibly intimate and courageous thing to do. Sharing your art with the world, sharing your thoughts, speaking out when you see that, dark corners of the world, the injustices taking place, just following your dreams, doing things, being the first one in your family line to break generational curse. These are all things that take a lot of strength. This is warrior work, okay? And I always talk about this, but, my middle school French always needs to come to the table and remind us that the root of the word courage is core, and that is the French word for heart, right? And there's something about it takes courage to do that. And it's very open. Our heart, we want to protect it. Even I find in so much of our culture right now, how we're on our phones, it's kind of like we've collapsed in on ourselves and our heart is kind of deflated. So I encourage you, first and foremost, as you're listening to this, can you just kind of massage your heart space? Can you kind of crack open, squeeze open your shoulder so your heart is out? It's vulnerable energetically. I mean, physically, from a primal survival standpoint, it's our heart, right? We're always trying to protect that. But I want you to think about on this 8/8 day, can we kind of start to tap into that confidence, that courage to live in the heart space, and remember that there's infinite flow back to that 8 number that is the universe wants to pour something back into you when you pour your heart out. And it's anything that you're not doing from the heart space, or especially if you're like betraying your heart, going against what your heart wants, wishes, or feels to be safe, is never going to be truly yours. It's never going to feel good. It's going to feel like you're like disassociating or disconnecting or like dissecting yourself. And I want you in your wholeness, right? That's how you're here to be. So 8. So yes, 8 Lionsgate. It's a day for all these things. It's a day to really pay attention to the numerology of it all. But just, I believe that like when we work with energy and we work with it intentionally, especially collectively at a larger level, of course we can make magic. We don't need, 8 to make magic, but there's something cool about being like, no, this is a really special energy. And this year it's also followed by the Aquarius full moon on 8/9. So just some things I want you to think about, like this concept of alignment and embodiment. Manifestation without alignment isn't magic. It's like a menu or a mood board that you're asking the universe for. Without embodiment, manifestation, it just gets really ungrounded and doesn't feel good. And it's hard to sustain it because maybe we can manifest and call something in. But if we're not in our worthiness, if we're not in alignment, if we're not in embodiment, our bodies, we can literally reject it. We can self-sabotage, right? So I want us to think about that. And obviously one of the best ways of living in alignment is using your chart to articulate your unique needs, wants, desires, of course. And I feel like your chart also helps like send you those signs and symbols and synchronicities and cosmic breadcrumbs, or at least for me. And yeah, I want you to think about, I wrote in the Cosmic Zone some of my just personal stories of, going deeper into the heart space. My most famous Lionsgate story is when I went toe to toe with Starbucks, hashtag boycotting Starbucks before it was cool. But like some signs that you're ready to enter your cosmic zone and work with this Lionsgate portal. One of them comes off of the story that I told. It's a theme that I've been hearing a lot lately is like, are you being called to stand up to someone or stand up for someone and kind of enter your own David and Goliath moment? And this might be happening very literally to you, standing up against a big company that did you wrong or isn't paying you for your work, or sexual harassment going down in the workplace, or an insurance company trying to screw you over, or whatever it is, a larger corporation like trampling over your IP. It might be happening also though, like energetically within yourself, of our own David and Goliath moments of where we tell ourselves just, to play small. Like, who are you to do that? You're not powerful. You're not smart enough. No one cares enough. You're going to ruffle feathers. You're going to be unsafe, right? You're going to be such a bitch if you speak up for yourself, God forbid. So if you're feeling something in your life where you feel like you're being asked to summon into your inner David and gather that slingshot and that rock of truth, like, I just want you to know you're ready. If you're feeling that right now, you are ready. And whether it's the big external sort of mechanisms of our society and the corporations and the capitalistic entities and, whatever the patriarchal hoo-ha, or whether it's that conditioning within yourself, like the only way we take that down is by facing it on. If it's by looking that in the eye, standing toe to toe, 10 toes down, standing on business, and then being like, no, like not on my watch, because that's how this cycle perpetuates itself. It's how these companies take advantage of small creators or, workers or whoever it is. It's like, in whatever situation it is, tenants, insurers, is because they're kind of banking on us all feeling like we're too small, like our voice doesn't matter, that we're powerless, that our situation is one off or we did something wrong. And then within ourselves, that's where we get the expression like internalized misogyny, internalized, or whatever we want to call it, patriarchal wounds. It's because like we're carrying that around. And then we're like almost going into submission before anything's ever happened, which is one of the biggest tools of like systems of oppression. Fascism is like obeying before, it's like pre-obedience. So, okay, I'm going to my classic Maddie, getting into the Aquarius of it all, back to the heart, to Leo of it all. If something is happening right now and you are feeling called to stand up, to speak out for yourself, for something that really matters to you, if it feels like your heart is like being cut off or pushed down or quieted, I encourage you on 8/8 to summon the strength to make a commitment to living your heart's truth and to pay attention and look for the signs and symbols and nudges that you are not just held, but you are ready. You are divinely directed and protected. And this is a moment in time. And it's not just about the thing, like winning, the argument, the case. It's more just for yourself. It's very karmic. It's like how we actually take some quantum leaps is just by saying, no, I'm worth it. Like I'm worth not just being like the doormat for XYZ. I am here to like be my own warrior, right? And so that's one sign that you're maybe ready to work with Lionsgate. Number two is if you're just feeling something in the heart space, like an ache or something that just feels a little off or hungry or to tune into something. It's something just, there's a little pebble in my shoe of my heart. I just encourage you to, again, pay attention to the nudges, be open. The year, I think it was the year before the Leo Aquarius eclipses that I was in during the Starbucks thing, and the 8/8 before that, I was in the city. I was headed back to out east, and I was about to get on a jitney. I missed the jitney. I had to take the next one, which was basically like a 2-hour wait, and I had time to kill. So I went into this bookstore, Namaste bookstore, on 14th and what's that, 5th in Manhattan, and they had walk-in readings you can do. And I was like itching for a reading about my career and what was happening with work. Was I ever going to make money? Was I ever going to find my purpose? At the time, I had my juice company and the coffee shop was just starting, but I had a lot of, questions, couldn't find my footing. And of course, classic, I went in for one thing, but instead, the reader was like telling me all about just like my parents, who my dad's a Leo, mom's an Aquarius, and just like how they did the best they could in my childhood, and that, I was very loved in the womb, but there's also a lot of like anxiety and worries around money and certain things, and that I took that on. And we did this like journey to me in the womb space. And again, like I thought I was just going there asking for some business advice. Am I going to make some money? I didn't even bring up the money thing. So when she was bringing all this up, I was like, oh my God. And again, it's like hot, it's sweaty. I'm literally in this bookstore with, classic, like my 2 duffel bags, my canvas tote, my laptop, like having this profoundly spiritual experience. And something about it, I went, right out to Montauk. I ended up having a fire on the beach with some of my girlies. We howled at the moon. And I remember just feeling like something had really lifted from me, but also like I came home back to myself in a really powerful way. And so that was one other 8/8 story. I did, Colleen Kelly, an amazing Kel on Instagram, COLLKELL. She's an amazing Scorpio healer and just a dear friend of mine and sort of like a younger sister to me. She did an amazing like heart healing ceremony on 8/8, and it really like cracked open something about my own understanding of my like sacred masculine within me. And so, again, like nothing I really sought out. I did eventually, after a few years in a row, I was like, okay, I gotta start like working with this 8/8 intentionally. But I was curious about it, and then these things kind of found me. And so they were all things like it was really hard for me to tune into my heart. I'm very in my head sometimes. I'm very Virgo. I'm very to-do list. I'm very go-go. And sometimes I need these like either crash outs or like complete, ambulance sirens from the universe to be like, slow down, stop, and take me somewhere and get me into that, drop it into the heart space. And, some years of 8/8 have been about like power and reclaiming it. Some years have been sexy and soulful and flirty. And some years I've just been like weeping and crying, and we'll see what this year holds. But it does always bring me deeper into like a chamber, into a treasure trove in my own heart. And it like just changes me in some way. So I just encourage you, if you're feeling those nudges, like just ask the universe, carve out a little time and space in the schedule, just like for openness, for magic, for things to move through you. And the third thing that, I just want you to follow what's lighting you up, what is lighting you on fire this Lionsgate. Is there something that you feel really passionate about? Is there something that makes you feel really in your purpose? Is there something that just really makes you connected to your life force energy again, right? That is heart energy. And I need that. I need you in that energy, and I need you in the feeling of connected to that frequency that makes you feel really alive. Because again, we're moving into some harder times. Like we're in the revolution, but it's going to get a little weirder for a minute. It's going to get harder for a minute. And then we're going to be on the other side, and we're going to be like, wow, this is so cool. We're going to really see some of this progress. We're going to see some changes, but like we haven't reached the rock bottom yet. Okay. And I just say that not to scare, not to fear monger, but to prepare us, just our nervous systems to prepare, help. Who's our community? Who do we take care of? Who takes care of us? How do we protect ourselves, our energy? And also, there's this whole thing I keep talking about for years of the old systems, the old rules, they do not apply anymore. So this is the time to follow what lights you up and not have some of the boundaries, barriers, walls, the limitations that we put on ourselves in the past. But I do want you, it's so important to be connected to your aliveness now. And on another 8-8, it was actually really beautiful. My sister, Genevieve, for 1 year for Christmas, in addition to my present, she's printed out like a printed out birth chart. And I hadn't done like a full birth chart exploration in many years. And this was during my Saturn return. And it was just from a cafe astrology, and she highlighted the parts that felt really resonant to her about me. And it was such a gift, right, to be seen in that way. But I remember I was like, into astrology, curious. There were certain aha moments I had around it. Something about getting this, I was like, I want to learn more about this. And then I, went down the rabbit hole and started learning about certain things. And this, piece of paper, this folded up, printed out, reading. And then I also asked my cousin for her recommendation on an astrology book. I just carried them around with me everywhere. We went to the beach around 8-8 and sat, and it was like school. Like I was like literally trying to teach myself astrology, like cramming almost style, like textbooks out, highlighted. My brain was hurting so much reading this astrology book. Still, I was like, there's something here. This is lighting me up, right? And I was just going deeper. We had started doing some moon circles, and I was like, okay, what comes like, what are these different zodiac signs about? And what's the archetypal energy and this kind of shamanic evolutionary approach to astrology I'm super interested in. And it made no sense at the time. And I was like, there's no way. I'm not like smart enough to understand astrology. It's such a mastery of the craft you need. Like reading this book, what was it called? I have it at my bookshelf. It has the rainbow wheel on it. It's like astrology, the cosmic science. And I haven't felt like that. I hadn't felt that like dumb in years, but in the best way. I was like, I don't even know. I'm reading the same line like 5 times over. It was really technical. But at the same time, my heart was like, this is good. Follow this, pursue this. So I just kind of let my head take the back seat. At the time, again, I had a juice shop, I had a coffee shop. What business did she have? What am I just trying to casually teach myself astrology? But, my aunt had been very into astrology and taught me, my Aunt Gail, growing up. And there had been certain moments where I reconnected with a great reading or a really bad reading. And that's another part of it, right? Like I had gotten a few great readings. And then somewhere along the line, someone gave me a reading. I didn't even ask for it. I kind of did, but I didn't. It was like we were doing a different type of an intuitive reading, and then she got my birth info. She saw my chart, and this woman like was telling me how like we're talking about having children, and whenever I talk about having children, I would start crying no matter what. I just always had like kind of a little bit of fear around like fertility, and I think it came with my life decision to call off my wedding around, did I kind of mess up my timeline? And even though my heart knew that wasn't true, my head would get in my head about it. And this, sometimes the universe will just give you head on, like your biggest fear. And an astrologer told me that I was never going to have children based on my birth chart, or, or it was going to be a very difficult road, but, not to expect that. And she just gave me this look, and I'll never forget the look. It was very like condescending and pitying me. It was really weird. And I almost blocked this out of my memory until recently. And I realized that was one of the reasons that I also wanted to learn so much about astrology, because I was like, my intuition is saying that's wrong, but I don't know why. And I also, just like anything in life, whether it was doing my intuitive work, my energy clearing work, the Reiki I was doing at the time, or, having my juice business, or even looking at other industries. My mom was a realtor, I have family that's lawyers. I'm like, every industry have people that carry their work as a curse on others. And everyone has a choice to have their work be a blessing, to speak some sort of healing, encouragement, exhortation over people, whatever industry you're in. And likewise, that your work can be a curse. And I remember thinking, I want to learn about this astrology to learn more about my chart and this. And like, if I get to ever read for someone, even if it's like casually as a friend, I really want it to feel like astrology that's expansive, right? That like, yes, there's hard things, there's shadows, there's obstacles we need to be aware of, but that like, you're not just sitting there telling someone that there's this faded thing over them, because I don't believe that's how astrology works. Again, my head did not understand it, but my heart did. And then my heart took me on a wild rabbit path that I'm so incredibly grateful for. And just like the heart, it's been wild, and it's been nonlinear, and it's been, raw, and it's been messy, but it's been so magical. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage you to follow that heart space, right? Follow the thing that lights you up. We need you in that, because in the AI, the chat GPTification of our society, it's so easy just to get like information and things spit out at us. But we need people who are like in their passion and want to connect us with things that are beyond what we can read about on a screen, right? The enthusiasm, the energy, like the life force behind what you do is going to be more important than what you do. And I've been saying this for years, right? In the age of air, your frequency is your currency, and your frequency comes from many things, but one of them is being lit up in the heart space. And just the last thing I'll say is that being in that heart space, we need it, because the shadow of Pluto and Aquarius can be like, some techno fascism things. We'll talk about that later, but it can be like control, it can be detachment, and we want to be in the heart space, right? So that we are remembering we're all in this together. We have way more in common together than we do that separates us. And there are certain, people, systems, and corporations and political entities that really benefit on us being divided and feeling powerless. But the only way to unite and come together in community is to really be in the heart space, and to not repeat old patterns or project old wounds. So, as we move into this 8-8, into this 8-9, and I just encourage you, if there's something happening in the world, like, don't feel like you don't make a difference. That's what they want you to think. Of course you make a difference. It's how social movements happen. It's like disruptors. It's individual people saying, not on my watch. And it's okay to not say it perfectly. It's okay to ruffle feathers. It's okay for it to be messy, right? So using your voice to shine a light in the dark corners of the world is going to be it's like this Lionsgate is about you, but it's about the us, and it's about both, right? It's the Leo, it's the Aquarius, because I do need you in your heart space for this revolution we're in. But I also need you bringing all of your witchiest, most magical, most potent practices to call in this collective liberation. And I think that your heart is the most powerful place to be. And we need more heart-centered leaders out there, more heart-centered creators, teachers, And I do believe in, I made a reel about this, but Elisa Kelly on Instagram talked about just the power of like group intention, right? They do those studies and like the power of group meditation, group prayer. Like we are living in a time where even just now I get to talk to, I think we just hit 750,000 around their downloads for this podcast. And not at one time, that's collective. But at this time, a couple of thousand of you are listening to this. Like that alone is crazy that there's a couple of thousand of us who have the same information. We can align our intentions. And I think there's more people alive right now who understand the astrology than ever before. So what if we really use that? That's the question I've been posing, a lot to my community is, can we use this moment? Can we do this together? Can we, yes, manifest things for ourselves because we deserve that. It's part of what we need to feel abundant, to feel clear, to feel grounded, to feel joyful. But then can we also throw out, some manifestation energy to end the genocide in Gaza, to abolish ICE? Here, I'm laughing because I had a really weird mental image. In the US, can we bring in healing for the people of Congo and Sudan? And can we bring in love and protection for trans people, trans kids in this country? Can we bring in just more feelings of safety and freedom and inclusivity for all? There's not really one group of people right now that I'm like, they're not feeling it in some kind of way, right? Politically, economically, emotionally. And so if there's one cause that's really alive for you right now, you focus on that. It could be for the collective, but it's also a little bit about then that heart energy, having the courage to act, to say something, to take some kind of sacred action step. Because this is, again, being quiet, being scared is how we stay the same, right? The status quo loves that. Yeah, so that's my 8-8. Oh, and the last thing, this is especially for my Gen Z baddies, and I know if you're listening, you probably already know this, but pass this on to your friends. 8-8 Lionsgate, the key to manifestation is by embracing your cringe. Everything you want is on the other side of supposed cringe. Like cringe is where the courage and beauty and abundance of your heart space goes to die, because no one I know has ever accomplished anything amazing, loved deeply, created wildly, lived ecstatically, tapped into more abundance and joy and fulfillment, than they ever could imagine without doing something a little cringe first. Okay. So let that be a little Leo season energy, right? Embrace your cringe, live in the heart space, be kind. Another activating 8-8 manifestation energy is look people in the eye, give them a smile if it feels safe. Get you off their phone, look around, tip your servers well, offer someone some compassion, and just bring a little bit of that energy that we want to weave into the collective just into one of your everyday little actions. So anyway, just some things to muse on, to think about a little bit for your cosmic rebellion. And, if you want more of your heart-led keys to living in alignment with your divine assignment to help you manifest from the place of embodiment and truth, check out my book, In the Cosmic Zone, Roadmap to Manifest with Soul, with strategy, and a little bit of cosmic sass. Okay, so just big 8-8 Lionsgate blessings. If you bought the book, I will see you at our live 8-9 circle ritual. And I'm just very excited to go deeper. And that's where I'll leave you. So much love and big time roar for Lionsgate. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.